I'm looking for my straw. I want to drink water. Hi everybody. Oh, there. How are you? Okay, let me say hi to everyone. Mhm. Hi, Hanako Grace, Alta 444, Robin, Nadira. There's a long conversation between the three of you. um, Lisa, Christina, Christina, Genesis, Amy, I Carmi, Leia, Robin Carr, Arlene, Rachel, Robin, Emily, Angel Star, Norwegian Wood, Cindy, Simply JJ, Hanako Grace, Norwegian Wood, Maritz, Courtney, Rachel, Angel Star, Pia, Sembleban, Pia Sembleban, PZ48128, Arlise, A Brown, Aspen, Robin Carr, Bang Luna, Donna, Salmart, Nancy, Dodger Girl from Twitch. Hi from Twitch. Alex, Pia, Aspen, Z Arashi, Seven Purple, Pearls, Angel Star, Danielle, Norwegian Wood, Carla Girl, Nikon Lady, Bang Luna, Ronan, Nicholas, Dodger Girl from Twitch, Juveline, Lorena, Lily, Genesis. Okay. Hi, everybody. My dog is Debak. My dog is being a snob. When right before when I was connecting, so I was putting the pillow on my lap so that I could put him on my lap. He left the room. So I think that's his way of saying I have no time for you today. I'm sorry. So he's not here. He's in my mom's room. How is everyone? How is everyone? Elaine Salvador. Okay. Have you enjoyed the content? Have you watched all of the logs that they've had, that they've released? So we have a gym log from Jin and from Jungkook and from V. And then we have a reading log, morning log from RM, guitar from Suga, packing from J Hope and from Jin. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you doing? We are doing good. So did you enjoy all of them? I'm doing well. You're doing well. My puppies are looking for a cool spot in the house, loving all the logs and the Festa content. I love all the Festa contents. Um, I kind of appreciated, not kind of, I did appreciate, I actually really appreciated the logs because it kind of, because the concept is normal log, right? So, um, J Hope and Jimin featured in the G. Yes. So and we also had an accidental log thanks to V. We had an accidental log from Mr. Lee. So we have a bonus content from Mr. Lee. Um so yeah, so well, Jungkook was featured. Jungkook and Jimin was featured in Jin's log, and then J Hope was featured in V's log, and then Mr. Lee accidentally gave us a normal log as well. And I absolutely love the appearance of Mr. Lee. So we saw him working out. Thank you, Taeyong. So I love that. Devak is digging some hosts to find the Korean stock market. um, and I was like, when I was looking at the so when J Hope showed his LV luggage, and he was like talking about the things that he would usually keep in that luggage, and I thought, well, that is definitely way more expensive than my entire life. That luggage alone is more expensive than my entire life. So I absolutely love every log that they had. I think it did provide us a glimpse of a little bit of their personalities. I think um, just having them showing specific, like very very specific times of their day. I think that gave us like a really really good look at a specific aspect of their personality. So I absolutely love it. How bad was I'm not really keeping track. Not so bad actually than I thought. I thought it was gonna crash like 20%. It's high, for example, is down 5.78%. Here, I'm gonna give you like, and yeah, I thought it was gonna crash like 20. Okay. So Samsung Samsung is down like, okay, why don't I just show this to you? J Hope's accessory bag is bigger than my luggage for a month's trip. It's just it's more expensive than my entire okay, let me screen share. So this is for Samsung. Okay, I think that's better, huh? Um Maybe if I do it this way, it's gonna be better. Okay, so there's your Samsung. Samsung is down for the day. Um, 5 days is 7.51, and then high is 10.48 5 days, but 5.78 for today. They're not the worst though. JYP performed worse, 5.83. SM Entertainment performed 4.44. So not really. I mean, for considering that Hybe, usually you would expect Hybe to be performing the worst if things are going down because they are the biggest. So, and you would expect the gap to actually be big because of the size. So anything that happens in the market, they absorb it more. They're also I've discussed this in one of the videos. We call them the bellwether stock. So they kind of represent what's happening in that specific sector. Um, so for them to not be the worst performing one, that's one. Second, for their gap between the second biggest, which is SM Entertainment, considering their company size is way way bigger than SM, you would think that they would tank or they would go down much bigger as well, but it's not. I mean, the gap between them and SM Entertainment is kind of negligible. It is 4.4 4.20. What's that? It's 44 to 5.78. So that's like it's not even 1.5%. So there it's not doing that bad. And then you have YG Entertainment, which is down 2.44%. Um, so it's not so did anything specific happened? A lot of people thought that they were going to get affected um by the by what's happening in the US. So and usually that's true. Um and usually investors will let go of stocks that are not necessary, industries that are not necessities like entertainment. So, but no, it's I think it's doing it's performing the way you would expect everything else to perform. So, you know, considering Samsung is down 10 was they yeah. So they're down 10.18 today and then 7.51 today. Yonde, see. There everyone's down. Kia is down. Toyota is down. So Hyundai is down 8.71. That's even worse. And 13.18%. So, you know, nothing spectacular. It is not specific to the entertainment stocks. It's just the environment. Okay. Um, should we start? So we have two long. I think I'm confident. I am confident that I'd be able to finish two topics because both are long. We'll be talking about IFPI and then we're also going to be talking about BTS. So for the IFPI report, um, there is a free version of the report, but it only covers up until I think AI, which is let me think. Let me check. That is the first section of the entire report. So that's for everybody. You can actually just go to their website and download that. So what I have is the 220 page version of it. So it's the 2026 report, which means it covers 2025. Um, I will finish whatever it is that I can. Now for the okay, I keep on jumping. So they have a free version of the report and in the free version they kind of gave you like specific things on the first section of the report, but if you get the premium version of it you will get more information. Because when I got the copy it does ask me to not publish certain portions of it. I will publish whatever I can. um so that's one. Second is that I will cover whatever it is that I can for this live stream. And then the rest I will cover in the paid live stream. So as you can see, the premium version has 220 pages. So it's impossible to cover everything here today, but I will cover as much as I can. It's very interesting because it does cover it. And actually, I'll discuss this as I go on, as I discuss the report. One of the things that I've realized is that this is really why I want to finish the book of BTS as soon as possible because a lot of the things that they're doing really came from BTS. Okay, that's one. And then we're gonna talk about BTS as well. We'll go through some emotional support picks, and then we'll talk about a little about not a little, but we'll talk about the live stream of um, RM. So I finally had a chance. I'm sure that you probably had a good translation before I did. As you know, I wait for my friends to actually have time to sit down with me and discuss and watch it with me so that they can translate it for me and then give me some context. So from there, I kind of have my observation. But first, let's go through the emotional support picks and then we'll go through the IFPI report. Okay. Um, So they released 57? Was it 57? 57 pictures? So let's go through the pictures first to make us all feel good. Emotional support pics. We'll go through half of it, and then the half I actually used as a visual for the discussion about RM's live stream. So we have Jungkook. And then for I think for my Tanzanite and also for my legacy, I downloaded it all for you. It's free anyway, so you can just download it in one go. I zipped it so you don't have to click one by one on Patreon, and I'll put it on YouTube as well. That's RM, and I think that's Jungkook. A lot of wonderful photos. Yes, that's Jin. Yeah, absolutely adorable. I wish there's more. I will never be satisfied. By the way, they can give us a thousand picture, and I'll ask for 1,500. You want to see the pic? Yeah, so here are some of the pictures, and then I put it on Patreon. You can download all of it. Um, Ari soda. It hasn't arrived. I ordered it Thursday. No, Wednesday. I ordered my Ari, including my my noodles, my ramen. I was gonna do a test, a taste test on screen. It hasn't arrived. Yeah. Okay, so that is, let's go back to the beginning. So we have Jungkook, our youngest, and then that's Jungkook, right? Okay. I did not bother to zoom in just because. Okay, and then we have RM and Jungkook. We were just talking about this too and how they could be polar opposites in the Friday live stream. And then we have Jin. I love the jacket. You bought a couple of Ari drinks. Yeah, I ordered. They haven't sent it to me. And then we have Jungkook and Jimin. And then OT7, which is my favorite version, my favorite genre of pictures. I got 2 packs of the Oreos in my nearby Albertsons. They're also available in Vons. Ah, okay. I will try and get it because I haven't gotten one. Suga in the elevator. And then we have another OT7 pictures. Love the OT7 pictures. Okay. So this is I guess this is the notes when they shot the notes, right? Studio notes when they were discussing Arirang. More of the leader, Gucci ambassador. Sugar in the elevator. I have only tried beef bulgogi. It was good. That's RM. I love this episode, by the way. All 3 episodes of Run BTS 2.0. I'm late. Hi, Jazzy. We're just looking at the pictures. No problem. What did I miss? Just looking at the pictures. We were discussing the stock market earlier. Hype stocks. That's V. I love this picture. I think it's actually one of my favorite pictures, like of all time, of BTS. This specific picture. So I love the way the light hits his face. Okay, and then we have Suga. Can't wait for the new Run app. I can't wait for that too. I honestly thought that when they said normal log, I thought it was going to be, because remember in RM's live stream, he said that normal, the song normal, had an all Korean version. I thought they were going to release an all Korean version. But no. Okay. And then more OT7 pictures. I'm wondering if they actually swam in the pool during the shoot rehearsals, obviously. Jimin. The unartistic artistic pose. And then Jin. Some of it I'm going to be using in my discussion with about RM's live stream. Hi, Yoongi, yes. Suga. I have also ordered a BTS Oreo via Amazon, but not gotten them yet. More Jin. I like the gochujang butter and Vongo. They are releasing an all Korean version of normal on the newest LP. Okay. I've ordered that already, I think. Yoongi had so many variations within this few months. OT7 picture is one of my favorites. This specific shot, I mean, is one of my favorites. So shot during the Run BTS. Hooligan 2.0. Hooligan. Okay. And then just their picture, OT7 picture. This was from Run BTS, correct? Run BTS. Their climb, the penalty of Suga and V. What's their duo name? What's their duo name? Yun Cook. Sorry, Yun V. What's what? Teggy. Okay, Teggy. Teggy. Okay. J Hope. So this is I would assume um the photo that they use, the shoot for the cover of the album, right? For Arirang. I'm assuming that this is because they have the exact same hairstyle, the exact same suits. So I'm assuming that that is it. This is when they shot um the cover for Arirang. Tegi, yeah, Tegi. And then V. And more V. I mean J. J. Yeah. So I think I have a theory that J Hope is not coming back, that J has already completely overtaken J Hope. So I think this is J from now on. No more J Hope. um Tegi is better than Minte. Sounds like minty. Nice pick. I love when Te wears those high length jackets. V Min is good too. V Min. V Min isn't V Min V and Jimin? J Hope has grown up. Oh yeah. So yeah, I think this is shoot for the Arirang album shoot. And then okay, we have V. And then you're going to see the rest of the photos as I discuss the live stream of RM. Okay. Vmin, Te, and Jimin. Yeah, that's what I thought. Vmin is V and Jimin. Jay's never going back in the box. Love the suits. Okay. So I'm sure that you have your favorite translators already who have translated the live stream. And I have mine as well. So my friends usually when they have the time. But I don't get to ask them to translate everything for me. I kind of just pick and choose what what specific live streams I'm going to be um asking them to translate because we don't always have the time to get together and do this. But anyway, so this is one of the things that I did ask them to sort of translate and contextualize for me because the when this came out, I believe we were in Vegas and immediately Twitter was went to town, creating their own narratives and talking about this and that. So I thought I'm not gonna listen to any of that because it's going to just misinterpret what he said, is going to miscontextualize what he said. And it was a good thing that I actually asked for my friends to actually do that, because there were a lot of critical things that he said. Praying for all those in the Philippines, 7.8 earthquake. I have some friends there. I have family there. Although luckily they were not in the area where the earthquake hit. So, but thank you in behalf of my Filipino family and friends and fellow men. Okay. All right, so let's discuss it. Yes, the Weavers was right after the final performance in Las Vegas. Yeah. Okay, so first, I do think that a huge part of what he was trying to communicate, especially in the first part of the live stream, was how his role is evolving as a leader. And I do think that to this day, he's still figuring this out. And I think it's one of I wouldn't say struggle. I think it's just a part of his journey. One of the things that maybe something that he did not anticipate is, it seems is that, is how much each of the member has really grown onto themselves. Like they are now their own artists that don't need any assistance. They really have their own mind. And I kind of got that idea when in the first part of the live stream he said that in the in chapter 1, it's usually him and Suga, but mostly him. That's how he put it. They would be the ones that would be pushing forward, projects and themes or songs or how things get done. Um, but then that the members don't need that anymore. So primarily, I think it's because number one, we know that, and of course, RM and Suga and J Hope have all contributed to how each of the member grew, right, on their own. But I think when he said that, it used to be him and Suga, but mostly him that would push forward things, but that has changed. I think primarily it was because of all the successes that each member has experienced. Second, and maybe more importantly, it's because of the substantial growth each member has experienced in their solo careers. So, and and I think to a certain degree, he kind of felt that. I think in the sessions when the members would openly speak up about what they thought and what they think, blah blah. So I think he's kind of figuring out that um and this, I think there's several times when he has spoken about how e- each member is his own person. He's told armies that each member can speak for themselves, that no, he's not leading them anymore. um in one of his very very strongly worded live streams, he did tell armies to stop asking him to talk to the members, or to ask, or stop asking about the members, because they're their own persons by now. They have their own boundaries. He keeps on using that word in many of his live streams, that they each have their own boundaries. In fact, Brian in Rolling Stone even asked Jungkook about that. He said that, RM said that many times, that each member has their own boundary. What does he mean by that? And I do think that's a legit question by Brian. I do think that it is, um that he was really curious, and I was too, because I would have gotten more details about it. I would love to know exactly what he meant when he said, okay, each member has their own boundary, exactly what that is. But based on all the conversations he's had with armies and based on the times that he's mentioned it, I think what he is referring to is just how much he can actually push the members, not really push the members, but sort of lead the members into doing things towards a certain end, because it's easier before. And he mentioned this during the live stream, when he said that at that time they were the ones, him and Suga, but more him because he was the leader. There is that leverage. He didn't put it this way, by the way, but they had the leverage because they were the ones that were more exposed to more types of music. But when the members grew up, they've done their own projects, they're more exposed now, they have their own worlds, they have their own experiences. He kind of realized that he can't lead the members to do something anymore. So I do think that part of his not really dilemma, but part of his evolution is kind of figuring out his role as a leader now. He kept on saying, and he spent a considerable amount of time in that live stream talking about how the members, how how difficult it was to actually come into an agreement because he's not, because he knew that there is no one leader anymore, right? He said that it was like it's so hard to reach a consensus. What's interesting though is when he said that um, it wasn't really about pushing what they want. Like it's not about one member pushing for what they want, but more about every member trying to accommodate one another. So him saying that they are more careful around each other primarily because they don't want to mess it up. You know, if one member, even if just one member says no to something, they kind of want to accommodate, even if it's six against one or five against one, because one member, Jungkook, he said, would usually just say, I'll go with what the group wants. So even if it's just one member going against something else, they try to accommodate that. So he knew that having no leader would make the process longer and, of course, more difficult because there's no one entity. So I think that's part of his struggle, that he's kind of trying to figure out what his role now is as a leader, given the changes in the dynamics. Um, and I know that a lot of people are saying they need a leader. Of yeah, I do. I think, of course, yeah, I think every group does need a leader, but I think his role as a leader, like the specificities of that leadership, is changing. And I do know that, I mean, if we're having a hard time accepting that his change in his role as a leader, imagine him, right? Imagine his own struggle when he's actually the one in that position. But I think we're going to see more of that. I think he's figuring it out. They are all figuring it out, but probably him more than anybody else. So I think he did say that, him mentioning that, it's kind of like his explanation as to why things took so long, why things may take longer the next time, because they're still like they're in the active stage of evolving the relationship. Okay. Everyone's position is different, correct? Yes. Okay. So he did say that it's a miracle that we managed to release an album. I agree. Again, I think it does go back to each of them having their own solo successes. That's number one. Second is that it really is, it's not that there has never been a group that came back together after the military service, but there are two main differences in how they did it. Number one is that there has never been a group where each member experienced this level of success individually before signing up for the military. No other group where every member has been this successful individually. And when I say mean this successful, you have two members who's reached Billboard Hot 100 number one. You have three members who's actually gone on a tour, record breaking tours, by the way. You have two members who's breaking sales records. So there has been, and then you have him having a critically acclaimed, where every publication has actually said he deserves to be nominated as for the best record or best album in the Grammys. No one has that portfolio in K-pop. If you go back in history. There has been some groups with some members extremely successful, but all members, that this level of success, no one has done that. That's one. Second is that no one has done that and then have everyone coordinate their schedule so that they can enlist together and almost together, and then shorten the time they've been separated and then come back together again, and then come back to the same popularity. No one has done that. So when he said this is a miracle that we're actually doing, I do think that a part of the expectations of the public, especially Koreans, and not even haters, just Koreans, because this is how things have always been. I think part of the expectation is that they're going to suffer, not suffer, but they're going to end up experiencing the same things that other members, that other groups have experienced, and that is them actually sort of coming back, but not really. Meaning they would come back, but they would not go back to that same level of fame. Um, so when he said, "Yeah, you have to," this in itself is a miracle that they've actually managed to come back together. Now he mentioned one of the like biggest narratives that I've heard is when he actually talked about that gathering that they had when they um welcomed Jin after his military service. He said that they gathered. So we had several pictures of that day. We had the five of them or six of them, five of them welcoming Jin outside his barracks. And then we have a picture of them in casual clothes. Well, three actually. So we got the picture of them in um with Jin in his uniform, and then after that we got a picture of them in casual clothing. So apparently the picture of them in casual clothing was taken in Jimin's house, and he talked about how at that time they were not in a good place, like all of them were not in a good place mentally, and that Jungkook was actually crying the hardest, asking him that according to him, he Jungkook asked him, given that he's a leader, he needs to make sure to keep the team together. And I think that kind of provide when he said that Jungkook was kind of asking him, you need to get hold of this team because you're the leader. You need to get hold of this team and make sure that we come back together. So from there, he said that, oh, okay, we're going to we're going to we're going to start um we're going to make sure that as soon as we get out of the military, we're going to do an album. I think that gave that is sort of a clue that even they were having doubts if they can actually pull it coming back together. I mean, so yeah, I think that's part of why he said this is a miracle, because even during that time, even they were like not in a good place mentally, and it's affecting their confidence on whether or not they're going to be coming back together. Okay. So yeah, he also, I think all of it was all of them who asked. At least that's how my friend explained it to me. It was all of them who asked Jin to keep armies busy while they are serving the military. But Jungkook asked him to get hold of the team, like sort of make sure that make sure that you make sure that you make sure that we're all coming back together. So yeah, that's how I understand it from my friends. So they all asked Jin to take care of armies while they were away, make sure that the name keeps afloat. And I know that that's part of the struggle of many Jin bias armies. We know and I think that will always be like a pain point for armies, that we will always have a disagreement on that aspect. And I think we're just going to have to live with that. That there are some armies who feel that they should have waited for Jin, and then there are some armies who feel that, well, they're, whatever happened. It's between the two of them why they reached the decision to not wait for Jin. So I think that will always be a pain point for army. Okay. So okay, next, moving on. He mentioned something. It was something like it had to be this way. That's actually, if you translate it in a more lo- local friendly phrasing, he said that the album had to be that way. So I think he kind of knew that, or at least for his perspective, he felt that the album is not perfect and that that they could have, in terms of fluidity in the theme, I think he felt that they could have done better. That's one. I think that he felt that there is some, in terms of genre and in terms of sound, there were things that he felt were misplaced. This is his feelings, okay, not mine. Um so so when he said it had to be this way, I think he's kind of acknowledging that not all the criticisms were unfounded, because there were some people talking about how the album felt, that there were too much in the album. Some people, some critics saying that it lacked the fluidity that they used to have, and so whatever. And it's kind of acknowledging that, not all the criticisms are unfounded, but he's saying that it had to be this way. It had to come out this way. And there were so many people who's interpreting that line so many ways. And I guess that's normal. I think for me, what he meant was that there were some things they had to get out of the way. Like they just had to get it out of their system. And they had to make this attempt. They had to say the things that they had to say. They had to push themselves towards sounds, that the sonic elements that they weren't used to, or that they have never tried before, because they are rediscovering themselves. So for him, the imperfections, that's all part of the perfection that they achieved. Um, the way that, in when he was talking about Into the Sun, when he talked about Into the Sun, he said that this is the first song in the album. So he said that this is the first song in the album where he actually went back to how he used to write. So I'm assuming that when he said he used to write, it was in chapter 1, because he further explained that in Into the Sun, no, sorry, when he was explaining Into the Sun, he did explain that when he did RPWP, he let go of how he used to write. So this is according to him. He used to let go of how he used to write. He let go of the narratives, of being, of painting pictures, of being poetic and stuff. He let go of that one. And so he said that Into the Sun was the first song where he went back to how he used to write. So he went to poetry, and how all of those stuff. So he painted a picture with his words, literary references, and all of those stuff. So I think it was when he was talking about, oh, it had to come out this way, or it had to be this way. He was talking about giving it a try, because they had to try. It was like, we had to try. So it had to come out this way. I knew that some of these criticisms are not unfounded. And I do appreciate him saying that, because as armies, we do have, and this was his initial sentiment in They Don't Know About Us, right? You Make Me Weak, where armies have the tendency to put them in a pedestal, that they don't hear any kind of good feedback anymore, like constructive criticism. That was the original intent of They Don't Know About Us. Like, your armies make us weak because you put us in a pedestal. So instead of giving us constructive criticism, we don't hear those anymore, because you just keep on just praising us. You keep putting us in a pedestal. And here he's kind of saying that there were some criticisms that were not unfounded, that were valid. But he also is saying, but he knew that they had to bring it out, whatever it is, that they had to try new sound. They had to talk about the things that they talked about. They had to r- try new ways of writing. Okay. Um, I think this comeback was a make or break it for them, since the success was gigantic. BTS will go on for a long time. There's actually something interesting about that as well. So he said something. Okay. I wasn't surprised when he said that Hooligan actually became a benchmark in the album. So we all know that Jungkook was the one who worked on it. So okay, so one of the controversies that went on social media is that a lot of people thought he was discrediting Jungkook. He said because he kept on mentioning Jungkook and J-Hope, that it came from the session of those two. Because you know the setup that they had, that there would be 2 to 3 people working in one room trying to uh, make a song together. So he said that he thought that this Hooligan actually came out of this working session of J-Hope and Jungkook. And J-Hope did go live after and clarified, and I think it's because he saw the backlash. Jungkook, J-Hope specifically, and spent a considerable amount of time mentioning in his live stream that when he went into the room to work with Jungkook, the song was done. So Jungkook actually had him listen to the song and then he added the rap part. But he said that the considerable amount of the song was done. So he just he went in for the last part of the song. So he made sure, he clarified that. So I don't think though that RM was trying to discredit Jungkook or anything like that. I think it's just because he does not remember everything in so much detail, specifically because he was not part of that session. So he's probably just, whatever it is that he remembered he was saying. Okay. So he did say that Hooligan actually became a benchmark. Um, in fact, after they made Hooligan, after they had it, they spent the better part of July and August trying to outdo Hooligan or create something better. And they failed. They actually failed. They actually never managed to create something better than Hooligan. Um, and I've mentioned this before that I have 4 favorite songs in the album, and it has never changed. I know that for a lot of people, your favorite song kind of changes every time you listen to it. Mine has been I love all of the songs, by the way, all of it, absolutely all of it. I love, but my favorite would be Buddy to Buddy, Hooligan, They Don't Know About Us, and Come Over. So when he said that Hooligan became a benchmark, I was like, yeah, I'm not really surprised. I was like, yeah, it really is the best in the one of the best in the album. Um, and I also think that's part of the reason why Jungkook, in his own interview in Rolling Stone, sort of regretted not doing more because he felt like he could have done more. He certainly could have done more, because I think he kind of knew the impact that this song actually made. So yeah, he said that Hooligan became a benchmark, that they spent the better half of July and almost all of August trying to create something better. And he did mention, and this is kind of sort of connected. He mentioned that part of the like a constant drive of A&R and everyone else in Big Hit was to look for ways on how to actually go viral. In fact, it was Hooligan. They had another choreography for Hooligan. It was a little difficult, and they shifted to something simpler in an effort to make it go viral. Because if it is more simple, then a lot more people would be able to do it. Um, would be able to do a dance challenge, which he said that kind of failed because then another choreographer created a choreography and that one actually became viral instead of their original choreography. And he said that one of the realizations that he had is that you can't make something go viral. And I absolutely agree. Coming from a marketing perspective, you cannot make something go viral. You can only create things with the foundation of things that go viral, but the virality itself, you can't guarantee. We all know the choreography that he's talking about. Was the hip heavy movement, very sexy choreography, suggestive choreography created by another TikTok choreographer. And I mean, it was fun. It was a really fun choreography, and that's actually why it went viral. But for me, it does not represent the song. I this is fun. I just want to make it clear that I actually like the choreography. It's just that it does not represent what the song is all about. If I look at the movement, it has no visual consistency with the sonic element of Hooligan or the thematic elements of Hooligan. So I wish that one of the wish that I have, the wishes, one of the many wishes I have, is for Big Hit to have some sort of, or the officials or executives in Big Hit to have that consciousness to not chase virality. Um, because they're going to just simply compromise the quality of their work. I think, and RM sort of validated that. He said that you can't plan for virality. It's just going to happen when it happens. So I think might as well just do something that you think is, like, in terms of quality, the best, and do that. And if people like it, then people will like it, you know. Um, yeah. So, but the other thing is, I hope as armies, again, I'm not saying that that choreography is not fun. It's absolutely fun. I like it. I've like, whenever I see someone on YouTube Shorts or TikTok or whatever doing that choreography, I still pause and watch it. That's how, because it's fun. But I also hope that as armies, we have more consciousness to try and push for what is officially BTS's properties. So if we're going to push something, push that. Okay. Um, you can pay for virality. You can pay to start a viral or a viral movement. You can pay to start a viral movement. Yeah. Okay. So that's part of it. I hope that the A&R and the executives just stop chasing it and stop chasing virality and just start concentrating on the quality of it. After all, that's what made BTS popular, right? They never really think, they prioritize the quality of their work more than anything. Okay, so he started talking about Swim. And he said that he kind of acknowledged this is kind of funny when he was talking about this, but he kind of acknowledged that Swim was an odd choice for a career single. And it seemed that they were trying to create something else as a career single. But he did say, and this was his words, were his words, that nothing better came out. Like, there was nothing better than Swim that came out to become a career single. That's how they landed in Swim. It's like didn't have a choice. We kind of saw that in the documentary when he said, when they were discussing creating something. And actually, towards, like, I think in the first half or first 15 minutes of the album, was it J Hope who said, maybe J Hope, or maybe I can't remember, but someone said, maybe, just maybe Jin said, maybe it's time that we stop writing the carrier single, the title track, and just start writing good music. So I think he kind of acknowledged, he's saying that, I know this was not I know that, but there's nothing better that came out. That they couldn't write anything better. Now, I know it's kind of odd because, every track in the album is just as good as the other. So in that way of thinking, you can kind of argue that that you could have picked any other track in the album and made it a carrier single. But I think a big consideration, and maybe a part of what Nicole was pushing for, was something that is more radio friendly. And in their perspective, Swim was the most radio friendly of all the tracks in the album. Okay. So I think that's part of it. That's why they landed on Swim, because it was the most radio friendly song. It wasn't necessarily because it was the best, and I think that's what he was communicating. But simply because there wasn't anything else, so they landed on Swim. Um, which and the other thing was kind of okay. So he did acknowledge that it became big because Army promoted it so bad, and he actually said that, like, Army pushed for this song so bad. And after he said it, he said, I wish it did better. He's saying that he wishes Swim actually did better. And then like spent a considerable amount of time talking about the meaning of Swim. I think it's this song that he talked about the most among all the tracks. And I think it's part of that is because he was the one who pushed for the song to become the carrier single. Because of all the considerations that I've already mentioned, it is radio friendly. He talked about how, the substance, what it was actually all about. Um, I do hear some amount of regret, not because he feels this is not enough of a song. It's just that I think he was wishing they could have written something better, something more radio friendly, but still better. So that's how I felt. I kind of agree. You know how I stand. You know where I stand. I love all the songs. Absolutely love all the songs. But I do think they could have chosen a better carrier single. I do think that a better title track could have done better. Um, but he explained. He said, in fact, when he was talking about Swim, he said that this is the first time I'm going to reveal it. I'm going to explain it, why this ended up being the title track. He said, there really wasn't anything else. It was like by default, it had to be the title track. So, okay. So he did say, yeah, and I my belief that they could have my belief is that they could have just chosen Hooligan or Body to Body and create a radio friendly version of those songs. And I think it would have done better because he kept on emphasizing, um, they kept on that they had LGO as the title track too. Well, how did it perform? Is the question, right? Okay, so and this is the reason for my belief that Hooligan could have or Body to Body even could have done better because there's always a song in the top 10 of Billboard Hot 100 that is hip hop. In fact, when the only week in the last 25 years or 15 years where there was no hip hop track, it was a big news because it was the first time that it happened where there was no hip hop track. I think they could have done a more radio friendly version of Hooligan or Body to Body and made that the title track. But that is my opinion. I guess to a certain degree, he kind of knows that they could have done better because I mean, if you just watch his own live stream, it's not even me, it's him talking about it. If you watch his own live stream, you'll kind of feel that he was really like sort of emphasizing we didn't have a choice. There's no other song. Okay. And the reason I said, I think the reason he's kind of talking about that is just because it's not, if the goal was to make this a radio hit, we're not getting the spins from radio. So this is this is an example of it. This is the um, talk of the charts, the X account. They also have a Facebook and an IG account, and I think they have a Patreon too. They compute the streams, the spins, and the sales. Um, so in here, we could see that. So where is Swim? Okay, there's Swim. Okay, there's Swim, number 42. We're not getting a lot of radio plays. We're not getting a lot of spins. So this is how it is. So this is sales in the first. This is sales. This is spin. This is streams, and the blue one is the spins. Okay. So if you look at the top 10, the top 10, the spins for the top 10 here. If you look at the top 10, look at their spins. 48, this one is 12, but it's making up. The streams are making up for it. And this is also an important thing to look at. So for Drake, he's not getting a lot of radio spins expected, but he's getting a lot of streams. So whatever he's not getting from radio, he's making up for the streams. And then, but the rest, if you look at it, I just might is 70%. I mean, 70 million spins. And then you have Choose in Texas, 45 million spins. Um, 66 million spins. That's 51 It's a lot. Like, however, there are songs where that are not getting a lot of spins, but are getting a lot of streams. Okay. So, like as I've said, Janice shot the F up from Drake is getting a lot of streams. Um, I can't read because I don't have my glasses on. So yeah, so Dracula is getting a lot of radio spins, 38.8. So so Bang Luna said sorry, but any song that is radio heavy and stream thin is payola in my book. That is the whole point. So if that is the if the goal is to make this radio friendly, we're not getting it. So, because if you go to swim, it's like 12 million. And then we're not getting the GP streams because we're only at 5.9 million. Anyway, so I think that's where he's coming from. That's why he had to explain it. Because the goal of the ANR is to pick a song to that will be radio friendly, and we're not getting the radio spins. I think. Anyway. All right, moving on. So that's how you kind of, if you look at the, yeah, so I think creating a radio friendly version of Hooligan. So if you're looking at, if you're following their account talk of the charts, that's kind of how, that's the value of what they provide. It kind of gives you an idea on the division of spins, streams, and sales, and how it actually plays into the Hot 100 points. Now, they're not super accurate, meaning, sometimes when they say it's going to be in the top 10, it actually ends up in the 15 to 20, positions. But in term but it's a good range. They give you a good range. Besides, Billboard themselves stated that they actually changed the formula depending on the week. Doesn't Big Hit understand no payola means not much radio spin? I think this is where the universal thing is kind of confusing me right now. And I've mentioned this before, that one of the reasons, um I said this before, that at the very, we know, there's a lot of things we don't know that's happening behind the scenes. We don't know how much they're haggling for it. We don't know if they're really pushing for it, but radio is simply not giving it more spins. But remember, I did discuss how Colombia, at that time, the CEO of Colombia, Ron Perry, actually allegedly went to each station managers to ask them to play Dynamite. And then, so just as so BTS would get the spins that they deserve, actually. So to this day, but again, there's so much we don't know that's happening behind the scenes from my perspective only, because I don't know much. I feel like you're not giving it enough effort for BTS. But we don't know. Who know? I mean, we don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they are. It's just that there's so much that we don't know. So it's kind of hard to speculate. Um and it's all coming from all of the, like, my perspective is coming from all of these frustrations as to not getting the radio spins. We're not getting playlisting, but we all know, maybe BTS themselves don't like paid playlisting. We don't know that. So I can complain all day all night about them not getting paid playlisting, but if it is actually BTS who doesn't want paid playlisting, then there's nothing we can do about it, right? I could be complaining about them not getting radio spins, but at the end of the day, if it is actually them not wanting to court station managers, what can we do? Okay, let's move on. Okay. There's just so much. Okay. He did say something very interesting for me. He said that swim is about hope, and then merry-go-round is the desperation hidden in hope. I thought that was like, whoa. Like, to a certain, that was an aha moment for me. Because it's true. Like, you require a certain amount of desperation in hoping. Especially if, like, your back is against the wall, you have no other choice, and you continue to hope. You do need some amount of, like, desperation. So that was when he said that, I was like, whoa, that was an aha moment for me. Swim is about hope, and merry-go-round is about the desperation hidden in hoping. Okay. Um, but also it gives you an idea on how intentional he is when it comes to writing, when it comes to thinking about the themes of the songs that he's writing. He did say that there is a normal Korean version, so you guys are right. There's going to be a normal Korean version in the next special release of the album. So, okay. Um, why are you all frustrated with the ads? Are there more ads now? Over 99% of radio stations belong to two conglomerates, Ruth Fisher said. Okay. Um, and then and then he said that, so when he was discussing about like animals, he did say that, it was supposed to be very, very sensual in the beginning. You kind of get an idea on what that is, what sensuality that is about. But he said that he feels it's displaced if they went for that theme, because there's no reason to do it right now that way. Um, so, and then he did say that it was actually in this track when he said that we just need to attempt for to attempt to do sonic styles like this, because they do need to push themselves. So I think it's just talking about like really excuse me, when he said in the beginning, when he said that it had to be this way, it was actually this is part of what he was talking about. Like they just had to attempt certain sonic elements that they have never tried before, because they do need to push themselves. And then he said that everyone actually grew and matured so much in the process. So in the beginning, he said that because many of the members, number one, have never done a camp before or sessions, they kind of don't know how it works, and everyone was kind of like embarrassed and would not talk or would not go into the room to do the sessions. But then and then the other thing is that they are not that fluent in English, so it was kind of harder for them to communicate with the producers. But he said that after a week, everyone became so comfortable that everyone was just working like real fast. And if you would remember, he did say that almost the entirety of the album, almost all of the songs were done in the first 2 weeks. So I felt like they spent 1 week sort of adjusting, and then the next 2 weeks delivering, and then that was it. so yeah, so I think the sessions actually did them really well. That actually those when he said that, and when the members actually said it, that they learned so much in the sessions, it kind of made me excited for what they're going to be producing in their solo work as well. Number one, and second is in the next album, what they're going to be doing in the next album, because this is kind of like the growing pains, right? But now that they have come out of their cocoon, I kind of am waiting for to hear more of what they have actually produced. Okay. Um, if you don't have YouTube Premium, then you will get ads during the live. Longer lives have more ads. Okay. Well, yeah, that's true. Is the ad the issue? Okay. Next. I love what he said about this. So he talked about like how the original intention, which was you make us weak because people put them in the pedestal, they don't hear any kind of criticism, and then how that has evolved. So when Jimin picked up the theme, created this, and he said that like everything he wanted to say was actually in this song. Um, and then he mentioned something about he mentioned he kind of sort he not really hinted, I guess hinted, he kind of hinted that he's aware, very aware of like the economic impact of BTS, the money that they're bringing in, not just in Korea, the earnings and all of those stuff. And he said was like, and then he hinted that he knows of the attempt of people to quantify their success, number one, to figure out the formula of their success, number two, and to question their impact. And then he said that at the end of the day, you will really not understand unless you're one of us, because whatever it is that made this success, that made them, it's really the bond. And if you're not part of that bond, you'll never understand. And I absolutely love when he said it. It's like, because I think that's the perfect mic drop on everybody, right? When people are trying to say, like, oh, you became popular because of social media or this or that. And at the end of the day, no, it's the bond. Like, you can never create another BTS because you can never recreate this bond. So probably one of my favorite parts of the entire live stream when he was saying this, when he said that at the end of the day, it's really the bond that made them this. Okay. Um, they are not reproducible at all. So he did say that initially his idea when he was writing it was, when he was thinking about the theme was, for armies, because it was supposed to be about you make us weak. That was the key phrase, you make us weak. So it was supposed to be for armies. And then when Jimin took it, it just became for everybody. And so my interpretation was right. I actually just mentioned that because when I was trying to understand, by the way, this is the hardest song for me to interpret when I was doing the analysis of the album. They Don't Know About Us was the hardest to interpret, even harder than Come Over, because that I actually had to study how Jimin actually writes to understand the song. It didn't come to me easily. At first, I was struggling to understand who they were talking with. Are you talking to armies? I was like, are you talking to armies? Are you talking to each other? Are you talking to media? Are you talking to haters? Are you talking to casual listeners? Who are you talking to? And that's usually very, very clear for BTS because that's just how they write. They're very intentional when they write. And so it was really hard for me to interpret this song, but I think I nailed it. So he did say that initially it was supposed to be for armies, and then it just became a song for everybody. So okay, all right. Now, um, this is a sentiment that he kept on repeating, and he said this several times in the entire live stream, that people don't listen to lyrics anymore. And he said that even he doesn't listen to lyrics anymore. And he even said, very, very surprisingly, he admitted that even in his reading, his behavior has changed. That when he's reading something that is sort of like difficult to process, his tendency is to just put down the book and scroll through his TikTok and just look through the reels on IG or whatever. And so I was surprised that he admitted it. I had to fight the same thing because it is easier when I'm reading a book that's really, really hard to process. Not just hard to process in terms of themes, but when the what the book is saying is challenging my values or my beliefs, it's so easy to just put it down and pick up your phone and consume something that will agree with my own bias, right? Or just entertain me, like a 10-second clip from TikTok or whatever. So he did say that he's not sure, and because he's a writer, that's what he does. He said that um this is one of like the things that he struggled with because he feels that uh people don't listen to the lyrics anymore. Now, I oddly enough, I do think that some BTS army contributed to this. I'm not saying that we started this or that we were the ones that made this thing become the norm. I just think that we contributed to this because there's a lot of armies who don't bother to actually really understand the lyrics of their song when it is in Korea. When it is in Hangul in Korean, a lot of people would just take it for face value or not even bother. That's why a lot of people, I don't expect people to memorize the songs, especially the ones that are in Korean. But I'm hoping that majority of armies would at least understand what they're trying to say in the songs. But a lot of armies don't know. And I know this because when you look at videos that are doing like critical analysis of the lyrics, not just mine, because I'm not the only one who's doing it. There's many other channels that are doing critical analysis of their lyrics or the theme of their albums, you can actually see that they're not getting as many views as the other videos that are just talking about shipping or moments or high notes or something like that. So I do think that there are armies contributed to this. People, um there are some people who are just like more concerned about the image and the vibe and whatever. So we're a big group. So I think if we start really emphasizing the substance of their songs, there's a counter movement. We can create a counter movement against it. Um, yeah. I read the album Jackets. I love and know the lyrics. I don't think that these people are army. They are vibers. When the sound changes, they go to other artists. I wish yeah, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of creators that are just using BTS for clout, right? There are a lot of creators like that. They just use BTS for clout. Like they wouldn't bother. They would like hear the beat and it's like, oh my God, this is the best. I'm going to put it this, but there's no substance to it. Like, can you try and understand why they use that beat or something like that? They don't do that. But then there are also the ones that are getting a lot of views and a lot of engagements, and those engagements are coming from armies. So I'm not saying that they shouldn't be supported. There's, of course, it's a sonic material. A song is a sonic material. So going after the beat and being like wanting the beat, that's fine. I love the beats. but but I'm just saying that there should be equal attention to the lyrics as well, to the themes and the substance of their music. We can create a counter movement. I'm not saying that we ditch the beats and oh, that's silly. It's these are songs, of course. So, but I think we can create a counter movement if we make it if we are intentional about understanding the substance of their lyrics. Um, we don't want them to, I think that would be a very very sad day if we discourage BTS members from writing substance. It would be a very very sad day. We know that all of them write substance. They talk substance, they think substance, and they write substance. So it would be a sad day if they all one day say, it doesn't matter anymore. Let's just put anything out there. Let's not think the audience is not thinking. It would be a sad day. So, and it would be a huge loss. So I hope that we discourage them from not thinking about the substance by actually paying as much attention to the substance as we do to the beats. Okay. Um, okay. Do you have questions before we go into IFPI? I've always known about Dodger Girl said, okay. I think there are both vibers and armies that listen to the vibe of the song first. Once you break it down, the swim video told a deep story, but many didn't look at enough to see it. I only watch reactors who talk about the music and lyrics. We had fun finally getting DJ Jin into lyrics. Agree. Yeah. So um yeah, I'm just want to make it clear. I'm not saying that let's ditch the beats and no, of course it's a song. It's half of the song. So of course, I mean, there's still a lot of songs out there that I dance to and have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. Macarena, for example. I'm sure you guys, when you hear that song, still nod your head to it. Like to this day, I don't know what it means. So it's like, um, so I'm not saying that's useless. I'm just saying that we pay as much attention to the theme and the substance of the lyrics as much as we do to the beat. Because I think, again, if artists like BTS members, like RM, come to a conclusion one day and say, oh, it doesn't matter. I don't have to think. I don't have to put effort into actually writing poetry in my music because armies don't care. It would be very sad. And that would be, we need substance in art. So I hope that we make it intentional, that we actually listen and understand their the meaning of their songs. Um, Macarena is really racy. I heard the original, yeah. Short forms are killing people's brains. Yes. um, it's fun. Hapo? What's that? What does that mean? Absolutely, the time and energy uh have a special meaning. Okay. time and energy. Okay, some people gravitate to the sound or of music first. Lyricless classical music. Yeah, well, yeah, that's why I'm saying. I'm not saying let's ditch it all together. I mean, it would be hypocritical for me of me to say that. I mean, even I consume a lot of things, a lot of music, and I don't know the lyrics, the meaning of the songs. So, so I listen to a lot of Japanese singers who sing in Japanese, and I don't know what they're saying. I'm not necessarily really examine. So it would be hypocritical of me. I'm just saying we can create a counter movement. We can, if we just make it intentional, that we listen, we understand the substance as we go after the beat. Okay, songs with no substance, it would be PTD on repeat. No shade, just saying I like PTD, but it will never be my go-to. Oh, permission to dance. I remember in Vegas, day one when it played, and they were like, huh? And you can actually really see in their faces how they weren't really excited to hear that song. Okay. Swim is a great song, but the video was disconnected from the song until people really understand the lyrics. The dance performance was better than the MV for me. Okay. Yes, I can't count the number of threads on X or YT videos trying to force meaning onto the guys for ships or sexuality, but not the same effort for the guy's artistry. Completely agree. Bubblegum pop. Yeah. Well, that's true. Like, um, yeah, you see a lot of someone creates a ship video and it has like 5 million, and you look at uh, like an actual musical theorist, and he has like 5,000 views on his video. Like, is that fair? Aren't we supposed to be supporting their music more than we support anything else? But you know, what can we do? But I'm just saying we can create a counter movement if there is a real effort from our part to really be conscious about the substance. We can create a counter movement. Okay, next. I listened to Olivia Dean. PTD is my favorite of their English songs. Leia said that PTD is her favorite. My videos are memories. The MV for Swim is connected, but you have to really look and think about what is happening. Some are rage bait. True. Some people just want views. They don't care. True, 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 true. Most people are shallow, in my opinion. Okay. So if you don't, if I have like 40 minutes to do this, I think I can do it. Okay, let's go. Let's go to the IFPI report. As I've said, I will finish as much as I can, and then the rest I will be talking about in the Friday live stream. DJ Gino went live to read the lyrics of Arirang, but he was a little lost on a couple of RM's lines. PTD is a feel good vibe. Sometimes we need that. Okay. All right. Let's go to the IFPI report. Okay. So in the free version, they actually published some stats. So these are some of it, that the global revenue growth. So this is for all formats, streaming, live shows, recorded music, sales, 6.4% global revenue growth. This is from 2024 to 2025. So this report was released 2026. It covers 2025 trends. Okay. So from 2024 to 2025, there was a 6.4% global revenue growth, is what they're saying. Now, for us to really understand that, we do need to like slice and dice it. Okay. Is there not a Wednesday live stream? Oh, there is. There is, yeah. Okay, so 8.8 growth in subscription streaming revenues. This is the biggest growth. This is where the biggest growth is coming from. Um, there is so Yeah, so so there are more people that are subscribing according to their findings. There are more people subscribing to doing paid subscription streaming. And there are more people that actually have more than one subscriptions. So that's a huge part of where the growth is coming from. Okay. Lower than inflation. The growth, you mean? Yes, it's lower than inflation. So I've always said this, that the whatever the inflation is that is published by the government, multiplied by two or three. That's probably where we are. Okay, 69.6 streaming share of global revenue. So people are really streaming. They're not buying albums anymore. 52.4 subscription streaming share of revenue. So and then 8% in physical revenue growth. Physical revenue growth mostly comes from vinyl, not necessarily CDs. Is this with all streaming platforms? Yes, all streaming platforms. It includes all streaming platforms. So the physical, this is what's interesting actually for the physical revenue growth, that it's coming from vinyl, which is uh, mind-boggling for me. So this actually means that they are not necessarily um it's really not about them playing the CDs. It's actually more collection, right? Because if you just really want to listen to music, you're just going to subscribe. But now, but they are buying the LPs, the vinyls for collection more than anything else. So it's nostalgia. Okay. This is the 11th year of growth, consecutive growth. So the general growth of the music industry, global music industry. Okay. Um, Okay, so the all-time revenue, for the 2025 revenue, it reached 31.7 billion in 2025. So this is the first time where it actually surpassed 30 billion. Now, as always, I've always mentioned to you guys, so that's a 6.4% growth, but I always mention to you guys to always look at inflation. So inflation, there is what we are being released, what's being released by the government on a monthly basis. But do remember that that is the way that it has. I can get into the measurement of the I don't know if you want me to do that now, but I can get into how they have changed how they compute CPI through time, and it does not actually represent, at least based on, anyway. So there is what we call the true inflation, and then inflation rate that is being provided by the government. So 6.4% does not overtake inflation. So it's growing on paper, it's not growing practically. Okay. Um, Next thing you know, cassette tapes and 8 tracks will make a comeback. It's already making a comeback, but vinyl sounds so much better. That's it. Okay. So I have in the Philippines, my father had a stereo. It was a Sharp. I don't know if you know that brand, but it was a Sharp. And it was a gigantic thing. It was like a huge, huge stereo. And it played vinyl. I don't know if it, I mean, I'm sure it still works to this day. My intention was, if when I go back to the Philippines, I'm actually going to contact Sharp or a museum and offer that to them because I kind of want it preserved. So I'll take a picture and I'll show it to you guys. But it's like gigantic. The turntables right now is just really the turntable, right? And then you can connect it to a speaker. That had its own speaker, and it's like 5 feet wide, something like that. Maybe 5 feet wide or something like that. Okay. So um so when I was growing up, that's what he was listening to. But I don't kind of remember how it sounds. So, and then I have some of BTS's vinyls here. I haven't really played it because I don't have a turntable. So, vinyl does have a better sound quality. Oh, okay. All right. So, maybe I'll try and get a turntable and play some of the vinyls. Okay. Now, the top 10 music market is still pretty much the same. USA is still number 1. Japan is number 2. That has always been consistent. UK number 3, that's always consistent as well. So your top 3 is consistent. Um are consistent. So the three spots, the three countries on the top, they're very, very consistent. So USA, Japan, and UK. Do remember though that US is more than three times bigger than Japan. So the lead is big. So whenever people ask, whenever people wonder why there are so many acts or so many products trying to get into the US market, because it has a bigger market. So that's why everyone wants to get into the US. It's because it has a big market. Okay, so it's still the same: USA, Japan, and then UK. The top three have not changed. The top three has not changed. The three countries have not changed. And then China is the one that went up. It used to be at number 5, it is now at number 4. It is challenging UK in terms of size. And then you have Germany, France, South Korea, Brazil, Canada, and Mexico. South Korea has actually not moved at number 7. It was also number 7 last year. Okay. Um, Next, streaming continued to be the engine of growth for recorded music, growing 7.7%, adding a 1.6 billion to global revenues. Physical formats rebounded, but as I've said, when they say physical formats, primarily um, it is actually vinyls. Now there is a movement that's happening right now where a lot of and this is being started by Islet of all groups, where the CD doesn't seem like a CD anymore. So it's turning into an everyday thing. So, like when a lot of the merch, a lot of the things inside the CD pack, they're everyday things that you can use. And the idea is that people are more inclined to buy it if they can make use of it. Okay. So for example, there are some this is just an example, like a purse, for example, that can actually transmit a sound to a speaker and you can play the songs from your purse, something like that. So they're changing the packaging of the CDs so that it's something that you can use every day. Um, the new CDs and merch of Eyelet and Cordis actually reflect that. When you buy their CDs, it comes with merch that integrate the CD into the merch, and then you can use the merch for every day. Inspector Gadget Purse. Dodger Girls Inspector Gadget Purse. Yeah. So yeah, that is the next step. What many are anticipating is that the CDs are going to evolve into something that we can use on a daily basis. Is that sort of like bundling? Yes and no. Bundling would mean there's a CD and then there's something else. No, this one, they're integrating the CD into that merch. Odd. So I guess the easiest would be a keychain, for example. This is just an example. Um, if you make a keychain that is some like a USB, right? Then you can put that USB, you can put your music into a USB into a computer and then play it. That is just an example. That is not what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it really so that that merch can transmit the music into a speaker. Yeah, it's kind of odd. So, and that is where they think the next evolution of the physical form is going to be, because you can't count on the collectibles. I mean, how many copies of a vinyl are you gonna buy, right? So, and how many times can you do your photos? Because a lot of people that are um collecting the CDs, they collect it because they want to use it as an entry for meet and greet, for because they want to collect the photos in there. They sell it at the secondary market. Now here's the struggle. Like for example, a lot of people are going to buy CDs, because more multiple copies of a CD, because they want to increase their chances um of getting a, a slot in the meet and greet, like a virtual meet and greet. Do you expect BTS to do a meet and greet? Not anymore, right? Okay. So, and then for how long do you expect people to collect the photo cards in the CDs? So, you have to evolve. You have to give them a new motivation to buy the CDs or the vinyls. So now they're integrating the ability to create sound into the merch itself. That's what they're trying to do. So right now, if you look at, just if you are on Weverse, you go to, for example, the page of Cordis or Eyelet, you'll see how cute the stuff that they're selling, and then the next step would be to put the sound in the merch itself. Yeah. Okay. So that's where the next step is. And IFPI acknowledges it, that they are saying that it's going to evolve. Hence BTS is selling turntables, right? A very expensive turntable. Okay. Okay, physical revenue rebounded and grew at a faster rate than any other format, added 319 million in revenue growth, but as I've said, it's primarily vinyl. There are some CDs, but then you got to put something else in that CD if you want people to continue buying it. And then this is the 11th consecutive year of growth, they said. Okay. I will never buy an album player. I got rid of all my albums. I like the ARIRANG albums variation for each member. Okay, streaming 7.7% grew and added US 1.6 billion in revenue. Okay, now sync. This is interesting. Sync is I'm sure that you're all familiar with this because I've mentioned this before. Sync is when a TV show or a movie actually uses the song, you get residuals, you get paid one off, and then you get residuals. So we've had several songs of BTS that have been used for um for for a sync, and the most popular would be, I think it was Dynamite or Butter. One of the two, Butter and Dynamite, was used in animation. The yellow people, not yellow people, the yellow creatures. So they used Dynamite, and then they used Army. They made Army the villain. Give me the movie name. So that's one. And then the other one is in Eternals, they use Friends. And then I believe it is Pretty Little Liars that used Liar. Lie, sorry, not liar, but lie. Minions. There you go, Minions. So they used Butter or Dynamite in Minions. And then before that, there was another animated movie that used Dynamite. And then the Eternals of Marvels used Friends. And then I think it was Pretty Little Liars that used Lie as so some of those Despicable Me, yeah. So is Golden considered a sync with KDH? No, it's considered a soundtrack. No. A sync is when you use a song, it's an existing song, you pull it out and then you use it for a TV show or a movie. Um I know the movie, but not the movie. Okay. So a lot of, I mean, a lot of singers, a lot of artists actually make a living out of this one. Also, Bridgerton. Ah, Bridger. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yes, true. Okay, so um, a lot of artists used to make a living out of with syncs. In fact, a lot of artists would actually write songs just for syncs. And they do there is, so before the pandemic, I was actually supposed to do the PR for an art, like a singer, and this is her deal. Like, this is, she likes doing syncs, so she would actually write songs, like release one after the other, just to try and get syncs. But the the revenue has gone down to 2%, by 2%. So that means there's not a lot of movies that are now, or TV shows that are now using existing tracks. And it could be because they're either just writing tracks because it's now becoming cheaper with AI, or that there are lesser movies and TV shows now that are using movies, or just lesser movies and TV shows that are getting produced. Okay. Friends of Te 2 was used as background music for what? So we can use it. I mean, so that we can support it. What TV show or what movie? Curie Jose. What TV show or movie? So we can support. We need to support, like we need to watch all of those shows, all of those movies that use their songs. Which what movie or what TV show? And Euphoria was used in the show Euphoria. What episode? Alice. What episode was Euphoria used? So we can use, so that I can watch. I don't watch Euphoria, but I will just for the song. Kira Jose said she forgot. Okay. The Big Red Dog movie used dynamite. Yes, the Big Red Dog used dynamite as well. It was also used for a commercial as well, and butter as well. Um, performance rights. Performance rights. We go to. There is an increase of 0.3%, not a lot. Performance rights would be revenue that is taken. So whenever a song is used for performance, whether it is a concert, a show, someone else performing the song in uh, a live show, or whatever that may be, the owner actually gets paid for that. Okay, so it went down to 0.3%. It's really not a lot, of not a lot of downgrade. It's not a huge gain, 0.3%. Um, so I guess it's kind of like, oh, it performed the same. Yeah, not a lot of movement. Wasn't it the title track for Euphoria or something? Wasn't it the title track for Euphoria? Euphoria is the title track for Euphoria? I mean, I'll watch for the show. I don't watch Euphoria, the series, but I'll watch for this. Let me know. Okay. Um, downloads and other digital, so there are less people that are now downloading the songs on their phones. Okay, so those are the major numbers. Okay, next. So, and then what's actually really outstanding for me in this IFPI report is that it heavily sold the necessity and the need and the essence. So Friends was used on the show Summer I Turned Pretty. Do you know which episode? Okay. Alice said, so this is Friends of Te, I'm assuming. So Alice said, people watch the show Summer I Turned Pretty. Do you know which episode? Is that a series? I don't know the show, but I will watch if you tell me. Friends was used in Marvel. Yeah, so I mentioned that. Friends of Jimmy. So there are two friends. There are two friends songs. Friends of V, Friends of Jimin and V. Okay. BTS plus one blue. Okay. All right. So the other thing about Euphoria, about the report is that it heavily sold labels. So it was it really highlighted what the label is for. It's really it really sold the essence of a label, sort of telling people, no, every artist still needs a label. It was kind of funny when I was reading the report. It's like, you're selling labels to me? What's this? What's up? Okay. So these are some of the, let's focus on certain things. So they said that a label is more than just a marketing company. It is more than just a promotions company, and it's not just about creative development. It's all of those and many more. Okay. So for example, labels are um investors and not just distributors. So they actually talked about how much a label invests in the growth and the development of an artist. So, for example, See here. Oh, sorry. So, for example, they gave out a lot of examples of different artists that many labels actually took on before they even became big. They said that many of these labels spotted an artist and then um, took care of them until they grew and became ready for a bigger market. Okay, I think I put it here. Okay, so one is Tate McRae. So they said that she actually was operating two different channels on YouTube. One is her just dancing because she's a professional dancer, and one is her for her music because she writes her own music. So they said that labels actually developed her. So they invested in her, they contacted her, signed her up, and then supported her. And that meant giving her support in production. So they helped her in recording professionally. They had her write with professional producers so that she can produce better music. And then they started actually pushing her towards smaller shows until she became ready for bigger shows. And then when she was ready, they launched her as a bigger artist. So that sounds like training, right? So they were emphasizing that many of the stars that the chart topping stars that you're seeing right now, we nurture them from the beginning. When they were virtually unknown, we spotted the potential, repackaged them. If you see Tate McRae in the beginning, like in the early years, like 5 years ago, she's unrecognizable. She's nowhere near the Tate McRae that you see right now. So that sounds like training to me. Okay, next. I do not know this band, but Balu Brigada. Okay, so they're a band, and then I think they're from New Zealand, maybe. They decided to move to New York. They supported them when they decided to move to New York, all in the interest of learning from producers, other composers, learning the language, learning the culture, and then eventually they moved to Germany, and they're still supporting them. I don't know what this band is, but they're saying that we're waiting until they're ready for the bigger audience and then we're going to launch them. Again, sounds like training to me. Another one is Olivia Dean. Okay. I have to confess that I don't listen to her music, but they're saying they did the same thing for her. They spotted her, they nurtured her, gave her classes, they put her through, like, they started having her write with different producers and different composers so that she can learn from these people. They gave her smaller gigs. And then now that she's ready, they're launching her. Okay. So now what IFPI is saying is that many of the labels are now doing more than just distributing you and promoting you. They're actually developing you as an artist. Okay. Which is something that we all know they have been doing for the longest time. They have been packaging artists. They've been honing the skills of artists. It's just that there is this romantic idea that artists in the West are raw and that they are launched into stardom as they are. That's not true. They are honed, they are packaged, they are branded in a way that would be attractive to the market. So now it's just that now labels are being more open to how they actually do the work. Okay. But now I hope people sort of understand that this is training. It's just that it's a different format, but it's training nonetheless. Okay. Did they also cover how they take advantage of artists? No. Okay, so they said that in 2024, record labels invested a total of 8.1 billion in artist development in A&R and marketing. Just two of the many ways that they support development and promotions of artists in their music. So they shoulder the recording costs, they do marketing campaigns, they do video production, they do publicity, they do tour support, they do legal expenses, international expansion, and staff and infrastructure. So they're saying we're not just a distributor. We do more than that. We support the artist. Okay. So 1.4 8.1 billion on A&R itself. Okay, just on A&R. Okay, so this is the increase in revenue in the last several years. Now, they said that many of today's big new artists actually developed over a period. So this is what I was discussing. Their breakout success came after years of hard work. And it's so important to be patient to recognize that it can take time for some artists to develop and not rush the process. So now, this is where many of the Western artists actually go into debt because if, for example, you have a Tate McRae who they have been honing for 5 years before they launch her into a bigger market, that means for 5 years they're paying for her production. When she does small shows, they don't earn, but she's treated well. If she is not really, but if she doesn't have accommodations, for example, they pay for her apartment. Halsey actually happened that happened to Halsey. She talked about how in the beginning she actually needed dental work or something, like she needed just a place so that she can have regular showers before she actually goes into um a TV show to do some to perform or whatever. So all of those things the label actually paid for. So it's the same, this is the same thing that they're talking about. Like for years they will pay for everything that you need. Okay. And then, so if that is 5 years, however long it takes, and then when you're ready, they're going to debut you, launch you to a bigger market. So once you start earning, they need to recuperate all the investments that they made from you, that they made on you. And so that is why a lot of artists in the West actually start out with a debt because they advance the label actually advance all of those expenses. Okay. Now that means labels actively contribute to promotions, to marketing promotions, playlist pitching. Okay, we know what that is. Global distributions, media relations, we know what that is. Brand partnerships. This is very surprising. Okay, I'll get to that. But creative development and then audience research. Okay, our role, according to um, the label, is our role is to add impact commercially, strategically, and creatively. Artist partnership is absolutely critical. It's about building a much broader, deeper relationship than just recorded music. Okay, so now they're now saying that so trainee debt is not so heinous. It's not so heinous. So okay, so they're saying that they are now saying that they there for the longest time there is a 360 deal. I'm sure that many of you have heard of it. When you sign with a label, they own everything that you produce and everything that you make. In other words, they'll earn from it. So a label is supposed to be just about your recorded music. But because they promote you, they invest in your contract it will say that whatever earnings you make, the label will take part of it. That's a 360 deal. Okay. However, many labels don't actually actively push the artist to do other things like brand partnership or TV guestings or a role in movie. Because in their heads, well, we are a music label, so we will deal with the music. Go get an agent that will push you to do other things so that you can get projects for other things. But even though we're not the ones actively pushing you, we will still earn from it because your initial brand was developed by the label. Does that make sense? Okay. So so since they invested on you, your brand belongs to them, right? From the beginning. So they'll push you for your recorded music, they'll push you to do a tour. In your contract though, they will earn from anything that you produce, even if it's not just about music, brand partnership, TV guestings, um, movies. Because in their heads, you won't get all of those projects if it wasn't for the branding that we developed. Okay, so that's why here they're now emphasizing that the much broader, deeper relationship than just recorded music. Okay. Modern labels sell much more than music. Okay, there's now admitting that they are now getting into all of those other things that they can earn from visual identity, social media strategy, brand positioning, sponsorship deals, licensing and sync opportunities, and international market development. In the US, you actually have a label, an agent for different things. You have an agent for theater, you have an agent for commercials, you have an agent for TV, you have an agent for music. For my paid subscribers for the Friday live stream. I've shown you the platform that we use where you can actually see the different types of agents that they have, right? Okay, so remember that there is a theater agent, a commercial agent, a brand partnership agent. So now labels are saying we're getting into that too. So the label itself will start pushing you for brand partnerships, for TV roles, for different opportunities. Okay, because they're going to be earning from it. Artist IP, correct, Ruth. Artist IP. And while I was reading that, I was in my head, I was like, you know who's doing this for 13 years now? Big Hit and BTS. They're developing way beyond just recorded music, brand partnerships, their own literature, their own clothing brands, all of those things. They develop art that goes more beyond just music. They develop short films. They have a TV show. All of these things that they are saying now they are actively getting into, Big Hit and BTS have been doing for the last 13 years. And this is why I said I really need to finish that book as soon as I can because this is absolutely hilarious that now you're starting to get into all of these things that BTS have been in for the last 13 years. Okay. All right. Okay. Next. Preserve, okay, so then now we're getting into policies. Now they're saying that part of also the job of the label is to preserve music dynamic and competitive marketplace. Record labels compete intensely to discover, invest in, and work with artists at every stage of their career. So now they're saying that part of the competition between different labels is also to spot the right talent. Okay. What book? Jazzy. So I'm writing a book to document the impact of BTS. So like actually document how they affected the music industry, um, all of the, yeah, like the changes that they've affect the impact that they've made, actual changes that they've made in the global music industry. I'm documenting that. That's what the book is about. Okay, so um okay, so now they're talking about like actually because they have A&R, they have scouts. Not in the sports sense where but they have scouts, just people looking for potential talents that could become a star someday. Okay. Now, I know that there's a lot of you asking. So they said that in an even deeper partnership, because each artist may need something different and is essential, we recognize this and customize our strategy for them to the market in the background. However, our role is to do everything we're meant to do absolutely brilliantly, much of which people never see. Okay, now, um, some people are asking, like, how come there are certain like artists who can't sell a theater, for example, but is getting a lot of like the label is pushing them. Like why? Like artists that don't get good streams, artists that don't get that can't sell just a theater for a show. Why are they still being pushed by the label? So this is the reason they're doing it. Because for them, if they spot a potential, they'll invest on that person. Now, for some K-pop artists, for example, especially if you sort of already have a name, like your group already is kind of relatively popular, that's a better starting point than zero. Does that make sense? So if, for example, they spot somebody on YouTube making dance videos or publishing their music and has like you can kind of see like, oh, this person has star power. Like they have charm. They have star power. But we're gonna require like 1,000 steps to get them to to a certain space, to a certain place. And you see someone with 50 million followers on Instagram, on YouTube, and whatever, and that person already has a name. This person with 50 million followers on YouTube and IG or whatever, it's easier to invest in that person because they kind of already have some pull. So your investment will sort of make, you'll be able to make some money back, even if you don't see the return yet, even if they're not selling theaters or arenas yet. In your head, you're like, this is a better investment because 50 million followers on YouTube and Instagram, and their group was already big. And, maybe as an individual, they can't sell arenas yet, but if we invest a little bit more, we can get her there faster. That's one. Second is that we're going to get some amount of our money back because she's already pulling in an audience in another way. It could be brand deals, it could be media attention. So if you see an artist who can sell theaters, who's not doing so well on organic streaming, but are still getting the push from the label, that is their reasoning. It's because she's an easier push because she already has some leeway. She already covered some ground as opposed to investing on someone absolutely new. It will take us 1,000 steps to get that person, this new person, to where we want them to be versus this other person who will only require 500 steps. I hope that makes sense. Do they get royalty if YouTube reactors use them for yes. So yes, if we use the music, they do they claim royalty. Yeah. It's not a copyright strike, but the income is going to flow back into the creator of the music. And that's actually what I was this is one of my pet peeves about YouTube. Like, I'm okay. Number one, I'm okay that, for example, to share the revenue with someone, especially if I use their music. But if you get all of my revenue, that's not okay because don't get all of my revenue, get some of it, but not all of it. But anyway, okay. I think once they discover that talent, they feed them to the Hollywood wolves. Correct. I think this type of thinking has led to a lot of one hit wonders, here today and gone tomorrow. Correct. Correct. Yeah. Now, let's see though. I mean, let's see how far that's going to go because I'm also kind of interested in what they are doing with some of these K-pop artists who've gone solo. Um I'm interested. Like, maybe let's see how far they can push them. Let's see if they even get to a point where they can actually sell out an arena tour. Or if they can ever get to a point where they can sell out a stadium tour. Let's see. I'm interested to see how they're going to do it. Um Western artists think a tweet a month is too much. It's not in their culture. It is in the Eastern culture though. Because I've mentioned to you guys that for us it's a communal thing. So, okay. So brand partnerships have become a core label service. I did not know we will actually ever get to this point. Now, labels are saying they will now actively push for brand partnerships for their artists. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but many Hollywood stars have actually limited their brand partnerships before because, and merch, not just brand partnership, but also their merch, because they think it cheapens their brand. Like, for example, if you go through, like, Nicole Kidman, for example, had a brand partnership with Chanel, but not much else. And that is by design. That is by design because they think that they need to limit their exposure and the brands that they partner with to maintain the sanctity and the exclusivity of their name. But now, because they've realized, oh, this is a revenue source, so now they're getting into it. They're saying that this is going to be a part of the service of the label. Okay. This was actually very surprising to me. So they're saying that brand partnerships have become a core label service, endorsements, partnership, sponsorships, content partnership, co-branded products, and corporate collaborations. So now, if you sign, for example, with Universal and you have a co-branded product or a corporate collaboration like what BTS has with Nike, with Oreo, with McDonald's, they're going to take a part of it now because now it's going to be a part of their core service. Amazing. Okay, it's past 2 hours. Someone was asking, is it true Busan will live stream their concert, Miss Marilyn? Yes, Yes, you can buy a ticket. There are still some tickets on Weavers. Yes. They will live stream it both days, I think. Yes. Western music is kind of stale at the moment. It needs change. We have a whole year to them touring, so that's a good thing. Okay, so all right. So that's as far as I could go. It's already 2 hours. But before I go, do you have questions? Is this like a 360 deal? Yes, but they have now gone to more areas of sources of income because they don't used to do to meddle with corporate partnerships, for example. If they did, then the ownership of the label of Rihanna will have a share of her partnership with Fendi. But Rihanna has that all by herself. So now they're saying that it's included in their service now. So if you sign a contract with them, you have a brand partnership, you have a product co-development partnership, they're going to earn part of it. This was a very interesting topic. I'm glad that you found it interesting. Thank you for a good night. Is this live stream free if it didn't go to theaters? Is the live stream free if I didn't go to theaters? No, I have to pay on WeVerse. Yeah. Okay, so the rest I actually have just for the first half, I have 70 slides. And I'm only on my 37th slide. So it's a lot, but I hope you found it interesting. I will continue. Let's see. Maybe I can continue for next Wednesday, and then the rest will be for the Friday live stream. Let's see if depending on the topics that I have for Wednesday. Okay, AENC University has been instructive as usual. You have to pay for the concert. So basically, they want to imitate what Hybe has been doing. Yes. That's why I said, oh my God, I have to finish the book because this is crazy. Everything that BTS and Big Hit have done, they're starting to do. So absolutely crazy. Okay. All right. Thank you everybody for being with me. I'll see you Wednesday. Bye.